Well, welcome and hello, Facebook. Welcome to Talk Leadership with Cedrick. You know, everybody needs a little TLC. Our guiding principle is the law of contribution. Growing yourself enables you to grow others. You can't give what you don't have. So first you must grow yourself to be able to grow others. We believe outstanding leaders like yourself will help others. So tonight we have another dynamic leader with us. And you know, every week I like to do a proper introduction of my guest. So tonight we have a very special guest that I want to do a proper introduction for. So I'm going to present to some of you and just introduce to a whole lot of other people, new people, Chris Robinson. Chris is a founding partner of the John Maxwell team. He is the newly appointed executive vice president of the Maxwell Entrepreneur Solutions. He is a product of the product, leading a global team of over 34,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches. Chris is also the founder of R3 Coaching, a company dedicated to helping individuals and businesses achieve their personal and business growth goals through speaking, group training, and one-on-one coaching. Chris is an international speaker who has enthralled crowds as large as 4,500 and trained small groups inside of companies on a continual basis. Chris has dedicated his life to enhancing others by speaking and teaching on leadership and personal and professional development. Chris found his leadership beginnings as a sales rep. So for all you salespeople out there, I want you to tune up tonight, all right? Chris found his beginnings as a sales representative who quickly advanced 3 positions in 5 years to a senior sales manager for the largest vehicle service company by understanding strengths and overcoming the weak areas of businesses early on. Chris helped grow the company from, get this, 18 employees to over 700 people. After experiencing his tremendous growth and recognizing his own desire and ability to encourage, inspire, and communicate life-altering success principles to others, he launched R3 Coaching. Chris was recently recognized as one of the top 100 people to help you in business in St. Louis. And he also won the Small Business of the Year award from the Missouri Small Business Association. Now, Chris, in addition to all of his accolades, Chris is a busy family man. Chris is the proud father of 11-year-old triplets. That's right, triplets, a 7-year-old and 4-year-old twin girls.
Yeah.
So welcome, Mr. Chris Robinson, to the show.
Hey, well, thank you, Cedrick, so much. Thank you for the proper introduction. Man, that was long. At the end of it, what I want you guys to know is I am just like you. And, you know, I'm just a human, just like you. I'm just a person, just like you. And today we're going to talk about some things that any person from any position, without any of the accolades or all the stuff, that doesn't matter. It's just we're people trying to make a difference. And so, Cedrick, thank you. I'm so excited to be on here with you tonight, man.
Well, thank you very much. Chris is absolutely right. He's a transformational leader. Just people trying to make a difference, doing something that makes a difference at a time that it makes a difference with other people that makes a difference. So awesome. You know, Chris, everything rises and falls on leadership, right? Yeah. And so what I want you to do, Chris, I kind of went over your background, but tell our listeners about your journey to leadership and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so a long journey. It was interesting, 3 days ago, I don't know what day of the week it is, 3 days ago, I had the opportunity. I was actually sitting with John Maxwell, the #1 leadership guru in the world. And I was in a room brainstorming his newest idea, his newest book that's going to be coming out in January. And I'm sitting inside this room and we were talking about how to, help people become transformational leaders. But one of the issues that I had pushed against was that we're relegating transformation of a person to a timeline. And I had recalled for the group that I was there as a result of a VHS from 2003. Now, it didn't happen in a 90-day program. It didn't happen in a 1-year program. Didn't happen in a 5-year program. I went from being a person that was looking to get better on my job to a person that excelled on my job, which then excelled through an organization to stand out and be a leader in that organization, to stepping out on my own and failing, to stepping out on my own and doing it again, and then succeeding and being recognized by an organization. So it happens over a period of time. But my journey truly started with a growth to just get to the next level in a position. You know, I was a salesman person at an organization that was growing really quickly, and I knew that I wanted to stand out as an individual. Now, all things being equal, I could sell just like anybody else. I can hang with them. My work ethic was there. On paper, you know, there was really no difference. And so I said, what can I begin to do to get myself to stand out? And it was at that time I had took that very first step to invest in myself, and I went to go take a $25 course at a church in the basement of the church, watching a VHS of John Maxwell teach 21 Laws of Leadership. Now, if I could tell you that that was the best $25 I'd ever spent in my life, if I look back at it, and honestly, look what it did. But what would happen was I went into the classroom, I began to watch the VHSs, I began to apply it inside the workplace. And that's the difference, was that I was invested in myself, I was learning, but I was applying what I was learning, and that began to separate me inside the workplace. I began to stand out on the job. I began to get promoted on the job. And so I'm a person of rinse and repeat. So I said, man, I went through a couple courses. I got promoted on the job. I'm going to keep doing that. So I go back, Cedrick, and I took every course they had. And then they asked me if I wanted to be the facilitator. I said, absolutely. I'd love to be the facilitator. Well, they said, now, what does that mean? I said, what does that mean? They said, well, when you come inside that classroom, press play. And when you're done, turn off those lights. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that. But it gave me an opportunity to be exposed to the information again, and it expanded my mind of personal growth and development. Throughout that journey, that opened up the doors to me attending conferences and events and listening to different speakers and people that were just in the personal growth space. And I just fell in love with it. And I remember at one of those conferences is where I had the biggest breakthrough, is when I actually heard them say for the first time ever in my life, you could get paid to speak. Now, I was blown away by that, Cedrick. I'm like, this is a thing. This is for real. I would love to do something like that. And Cedrick, again, that was a marking point, but not a making point for me. Now, I want people to understand this, because even though you hear an idea or you see someone doing what it is that you want to do, those events and times mark you, but they don't make you. A lot of times when people hear something for the first time, they think, well, now I'm ready for this. Well, now I got it. I want to be a CEO. Now I got it. I want to be a speaker. Now I got it. I want to be a lawyer. No, there's a process that has to happen. So I walked away from that opportunity to learn more about getting paid to speak, because I didn't want to invest in myself, Cedrick. I didn't want to invest in myself. I thought these people were trying to get my money. I thought they were trying to trick me, I was being had, because this didn't give me a guarantee. It didn't give me a now you're going to make it as a speaker. So I walked away because I wasn't familiar with this type of training. And so what I did at that point is I went back to what I knew how to do. I got books, I got CDs, I began to participate in the Toastmasters, and all those things were helping my communication skills, which in turn helped me on my job. But here's the separator. In my full-time job at that time, I had this dream. But what I did was I began to get more serious about the opportunities that I had to work on the craft of speaking and the craft of my desire. So now my sales trainings became a whole lot more serious. Now my one-on-one meetings became a whole lot more serious, because I was wanting to get good at the craft, at the art of communication in everything I did. I used to run little mini trains, one day workshops for the company I was with. I would bring in other speakers. I would let the other managers speak, and I would do the whole agenda, and we were having a great time because this is what I wanted to do. So I fell in love with that 10% of the job that I got a chance to do and help craft my skill there. From there, I stepped out. I tried to build another business that I had came out of on my own. That didn't work, and it failed. And then my partner said, well, what would you like to do next? I said, I'm going to go try this speaking thing. They looked at me like I was crazy. A couple of my best friends in the world, and I got one of them today, says, Chris, when you said that, he goes, I didn't know what to say. He goes, I was concerned for you. He goes, we didn't know anybody that was a speaker. I didn't know anybody that could help you with that. He goes, and I didn't know what you were talking about. He goes, but the best thing I did was not to say anything. He goes, because I didn't have anything good to say. And today when he gets to see what I'm doing, like every single time we get a chance to talk, he's in tears. I'm in tears because it's like, hey, you had this vision. And even though I was a close friend, I didn't understand it. You went after and you pursued it. I got certified with the John Maxwell team in 2011. Again, a marking point, not a making point, but that marked me. And at that moment, I knew, hey, this was the group. This was the organization for me. I'm going to be a part of that teaching team one day. Little did I know that I was actually going to get to run the company one day. So it's been a long way from pressing play to being here with you guys today.
So let me make sure I got this right, because maybe I missed it somewhere. You didn't say along the way, mommy or daddy or uncle stepped in and said, hey, we're gonna put Chris in this position, we're gonna lift him up.
Yeah. Well, I had the support of my parents. I can say that they lifted me up spiritually. They prayed for me. They might have, mom was calling, going, "Hey, you need to get a regular job." But my parents were so supportive throughout this process, even though they couldn't see it. My parents, both of them worked for General Motors and hard working, loving people. And so I was raised in a very loving environment. But there was no one in our family or in our sphere that had gone down this path that was so foreign to everyone. So I think most people are trying to protect you and be there for you. But when it isn't in a space where they've seen before, why would they? How could they really truly support you? So that's why it's so important to get around. It's so important to get around other people that believe what you believe and want to go in the direction that you want to go. Because that's why I'm here today. It's because of other team members like yourself, like Angela, that have been around and have lifted me side by side going, yeah, we can do this. Yeah, this is real. That's what's helped me got to where I am today.
Absolutely. Well, that is definitely awesome. And so, guys, I want to make sure that you captured what Chris said. He said he decided early on to figure out how he was going to stand out in the crowd, because there's a lot of people that's out there. There's a lot of good people out there. You just got to figure out how you're going to stand out. That's what he said. And then the next thing he said was, this is a key. It wasn't spending money on that workshop or that tape. It was investing in himself. Pay attention to that now. That's definitely key. Then he said, well, after I invested in myself, now I want to learn how to apply those things that I'm learning, right? So now it's putting into practice what you're learning. That's the only way you're going to get good at what you do, is you got to put it into practice. So I want you to make sure you get that. Then he said, hey, the eye-opening moment for him was when someone said, you can get paid to speak. That makes a big difference. Right? You're not spending money, you're collecting money. You see what I'm saying? All right. And then the final thing he says, you want to make sure that he got good at his craft, right? And this again going into, he's learned some more stuff, then putting it into action. That's the way you get good at your craft. So Chris, well, first of all, and I've said it to you before, but I'm gonna say it again on the air. Congratulations on the task of being the executive vice president of the Maxwell Entrepreneur Solutions. it's going to be a monumental task, right? To
Oh yeah.
exponential growth, because I've heard Mark say, "Hey, we want to have exponential growth."
That's right.
So but with that, it's a big task, yes. But I know that you and your team are up to it. But from a leadership perspective, what is it? What's one of the biggest challenges with setting such high growth goals?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the biggest challenges of setting such high growth goals. I'm one that embraces those. And so I think if I'm looking for a challenge of setting those high growth goals, it's getting people to come along with that vision with you that believe in that as well, too. And so for me, like, I embrace that. There's not anything that someone says where I go, oh, that's crazy or impossible. I think I'm what I call a green light thinker, going, okay, how can we make that possible? And how can we do that? Because it takes the exact same energy to figure out how something can't work as it does how it can work. So I just choose to go on the other side of that. So if there's something that just seems so far out there, then I've got to check myself and go, okay, well, why don't I believe in that? Or why don't I believe that's possible? But that's because of my growth and my mindset being stretched by being around a major thinker like John Maxwell. When we get invited to go into a country to transform a country, invited in by the president of a country to go transform a country. And then when I come back to a company, and then I'm looking at the company going, oh my goodness, this is little on the scale of significance. They just want me to help out with this company. I was just in the president's palace in a country helping them, trying to transform millions of people. And so I think because I've had that stretch and because I'm around those major thinkers, there's not too many that come up and say, oh, well, that's impossible. And so I think it's exposing people to larger ideas to when now smaller ideas come up, they go, okay, this is doable. So it's expanding our thinking overall.
Expand your thinking overall. That's awesome. And that's actually kind of great, because that goes right into my next question. Leaders come in all different types of packages with different strengths, right? Yeah. What strengths do you feel are important to be a successful leader?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, it's becoming more and more evident as I'm surrounded by more leaders and I look at my path of where I got to today. And I think one of the greatest values and what I value most as a leader is those that speak up in the room when you're invited in the room. Now, we see this oftentimes, and I see this inside of companies all across the U.S. You'll go into a meeting, there's ideas that are thrown on the table, and some people speak up, some people don't speak up, and then everybody goes out. Then you have the meetings after the meetings, and then those that excel inside of the room are the ones that actually speak up, that share your thoughts, that share your ideas, that not push back on ideas just because it's the wrong idea and don't have anything to add to it, but push back with the mindset and with the idea of how can I add value to this, or how could it be different, or how can we show a different perspective? But again, going back to that green light thinking, saying, well, how can I speak into this and add value to it and think, how can this work? How can I just put a little bit of energy into that? Because so many people kill good ideas. Yes. With a strong negative opinion right out the gate, and it doesn't go anywhere. And so here I am again. Last week, I'm in a room debating with John Maxwell on ideas of why something could work or should work. Now, on the inside, I'm trembling a little bit because, this is John Maxwell that I'm getting ready to debate with. But you got to say it like you mean it. You got to say it like you mean it. But that's what brought me to the table because, at the end, he goes, oh, Chris, that was right. That's a good idea. Let's run with it. And then at the end, there's this pat on the back. Chris, you added great value. You've done a great job here. When there's, again, other people in the room may sit back and be quiet, not say a thing. And then it's like, what's the point? You've sat here all day long and added just as much value as the chair that you're sitting in. Zero. Okay. So if you're going into meetings, look for ways that you can add value to the conversation. Look for ways for you to speak up. Look for ways of why, yes, it can't work, but you can show a way that can work. But you have to use your voice. You have to use your voice. I had one of my leaders in today, and they said to me, well, you typically lean towards these two people in our meetings for advice. I said, well, those are the ones that are speaking up. I was like, so I don't have anyone else to lean on when those people aren't speaking up. Okay, so if you want your voice, I leave it open for everyone. And so it's for you to step into that and for me to hear you. So I've got a meeting with you on Friday. Cedrick,
Yeah.
Speak up.
Yeah.
You want to speak up. That's what I value. That's what I value. And so that's what I value as a leader.
Now, don't y'all be calling me asking me what am I meeting with Chris about on Friday.
That's right.
That's awesome. I love it. Speak up, folks. Say what you're thinking, because it just might be the difference in making that meeting go from here to here.
Right. That's correct.
Right. And one of the things that I like that you said is people will immediately start talking about the negative part. So when I'm in meetings and I hear people say, well, let me play devil's advocate. The first, let me stop you. Hold on a second.
Right.
You don't need a devil to advocate for you.
Right.
So if you have a point, say it. Right.
I can listen to, well, tell me the unintended consequences of what we're doing. I can accept that.
Yeah.
Hey, these are some things that we may not be thinking of. But if you just want to be the person that's always pointing out the problem in it, there's zero value in that. There's not been one company on this planet that's ever paid me that said, Chris, come on into our company and just tell us our problems. We don't want any solutions. We just want you to tell us our problems. Look, how you get paid is based upon the size of the problems that you solve. If you want to increase your pay on your job, solve bigger problems. The bigger the problems you solve, the bigger your pay. The smaller the problems that you solve, the smaller the pay. Speak up.
Absolutely. I like Angela. I'm reading one of the comments. Angela says, those are the keyboard assassins. Nothing to say in the room, but on the hallway on the soapbox.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Good leaders ask great questions, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what has been some of the best questions that you've asked that have made a big difference in your path? And it's either you asked them or someone asked it of you.
Yeah. So very early on, one of the questions that I used to ask every single successful person or person that I deemed successful was, what were they reading at the time? Because I'm a major advocate of reading and how that's altered my life. But what shifted for me, and what I believe was one of the most powerful questions that shifted everything for me, was shifting from what you read to how you read. Now, this was a game changer for me, because I knew that at one point in time, I thought, Cedrick, man, if I could read one book a month, that would just be awesome. 12 books in a year, like that would be incredible. And then I got to reading one book a month and thought that was awesome. And then I got around some people that were saying, hey, I read about a book a week. And a book a week, 50, 48 books, 52 books in a year. Okay, I've got some growth to do. And so I began to pick up and things of that nature. Finally got to a book a week. But of course, now I got around some people that were saying, hey, I read about the equivalent of about a book a day. And I'm just going, what in the world is this? And so I stopped asking the question, people, what they read, but how they read. And I learned out different reading techniques that allowed for me to consume more information faster. But what that also allowed for me to do was to stop accepting books and ideas that didn't pertain to either my problems or my passion. You see, those are the two areas that you need to read in, either your problems or your passion. Now, I can give you any number of books that would be good for you, but do they directly relate to your problems or your passion? You see, the dilemma that we have right now is we've got a great problem. We've got access to all the information on the planet that we could possibly ask for. The dilemma that we have is filtering all the information that we have access to. And so it's not about having access to the information now that has anything to do with your success. It's about filtering the information that you have to do with your success. So when I'm asking a successful person about a book that I should read, it's going to be, Cedrick, hey, what's the specific book that's made an impact in your life about finances? because I'm looking to grow in the area of finances. Cedrick, what specific area? I know that, you are into motorcycles. If I wanted to get into motorcycles, what specific book would I read on motorcycles? So I'm going to ask a person about their interests and about their success in that specific topic, not just, Cedrick, what's a good book? Okay. Anybody, you can give me anything, and that may or may not pertain to me. And if I am just beginning reading, I may spend a month on a book that has nothing to do with my problem or passion.
Wow. So that's really, I like that. And I'm writing some notes because I'm going to use that, right? That's really defining that law of intentionality, right? That growth has to be intentional, right? Making sure that you are reading something that's going to impact those two areas. That's awesome. Problems or passions. The other thing that I'm going to add to that, because I really like that, Chris, is like for me, I don't read just to read volume.
Yeah, no.
When I read, it takes me a long time to read a book, so I have tons of highlights, and then I type those highlights up so that I keep them with me. Right?
That's correct.
Use it. So
that's right.
I love that, though. I'm gonna start using it. Thank you for that. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah. Books are for reading and books are for reference. So what you're doing with the highlight, pulling the notes out of those, that's what they're for. That's what they're for.
Absolutely.
Get what you need. Yeah.
So wow, that your reply kind of went into my next question about being intentional about growth, right? So the question is, what do you do for personal and professional growth?
Yeah. So a couple different things. One, it's reading. I'm a habitual reader. We read a lot. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not reading something. And so number one is I read. Two is that I want to do things that expose me to larger thinking. So beyond, going to conferences and events, I make sure that I'm intentional about spending some time at one of John's other events, or in a situation where I get to spend time with John, whether that's in another country or whatever the case may be, to expand my thinking outside of my area. Because I think oftentimes we can get localized, we can get nationalized, and there's an entire planet. And I want to make sure that I'm exposing myself to the planet, not just my local area. Then the third thing that I do for growth is making sure I'm around growth-oriented people. So there's not a day that goes by that I don't talk to somebody that I know is in hot pursuit of personal growth and development, that's in hot pursuit of pursuing their goals, dreams, or passions. So it's reading, it's experiences, it's people. Those are my key things for growth.
Reading, experiences, and people. Guys, I don't know if you're picking up on this, but Chris is dropping a lot of gold here tonight. I'm going to have to charge everybody for this.
That's right.
I'm going to have to send you an invoice. This is just too much. All right. So go ahead and just put your Cash App information in there. So what advice would you give an emerging leader for finding their leadership opportunities and ways to fill their professional toolbox?
Yeah, leadership opportunities in companies are easy because the average person is lazy. The average person is lazy. So this is my first time working in an organization in a decade. And, the average employee is just lazy. So, if you are showing up on time, doing your job well, and doing something beyond your job, you're going to stand out as an employee. Okay. Do your numbers, do your things, whatever the case may be. But I want to give you the question that changed my life. In my very early phases. I did my first section of corporate time, and I grew inside that organization. We went from 18 employees to over 800 in that 6 year time period. I was number 5 on the totem pole inside that organization. What helped me grow was I began to ask, this is for employees out there. You're going to ask this job. This is going to hurt somebody's feelings. It's going to hurt your stomach. You're going to get sick to your stomach, because you may not have the wherewithal to really capture this idea. But this was the phrase, what I call the phrase that pays. This phrase made me hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so what I would do is when I was working for someone, what I would do is I would ask them this question. Now, this question is going to be sickening for some of you because you can't see beyond this question. But I would go to my manager and I would ask this question. The question is this: what is it that you don't like to do that I could do for you? What is it that you don't like to do that I can do for you? Now, for some of you, you're going, wait a minute, I already do a lot. I don't want to do extra. That's just going to make them look good. It's just going to do this. You're thinking of all the reasons why that's not a good idea. But let me tell you, what that does is that truly positions you above. Now, you have to be doing your job well first. Don't be an underperformer, then go ask, what else can I do that you don't like to do? You have to be performing on your job well first, and then you ask that question. Okay.
Wait, hold on. So I can't be showing up late and then saying, hey, what can I do for you?
Right. Show up on time. Show up on time. You know, show up on time. Let's start there. But I would ask this question, and then the manager began to give me stuff. But what that gave me was access to opportunities, information, and experience that no one else around me was getting. And so by time the promotion came up, who was the logical next person in line? It's Chris, because Chris is already doing those roles. We don't have to do any training. Now, if we think about this, if we look at the John Maxwell team, okay. I was one of the first, what we call on our team, the President's Advisory Council, which is an opportunity to serve the team. It's a volunteer position. Then we have what's called our peer teaching partners, which is an opportunity to, be on a phone call with brand new team members, help integrate them into the team. Now, that was a volunteer role, but I did that role for 3 years straight. 3 years straight. I had my longest period off was 2 weeks. Why? Why would I do that? Because I was gaining experience. I was gaining experience that no one else was getting the opportunity to have. And then what happened, Cedrick, was they began to call and say, Chris, we need you to fill in for a single call for us. Could you do that? I would cancel paid opportunities to do this free opportunity because I wasn't giving anyone else the opportunity that I was coming my way. And so I would take the opportunity. And I would do that role because I knew that it was giving me experience, answering questions, looking at how people come into the organization, looking at this that no one else was getting. And then when it came time to say, hey, who could we have fill in or who could we do? I was the next logical choice. I continued to do that throughout the time period, and it allowed for me to add value. So you have to ask the question, what is it that you don't like to do that I can do for you to your leader after you're doing your own job well first? That will pay dividends for you.
Wow, that is awesome. I actually never asked that question before, but well, I'm retired now, so I won't ask that.
Don't go back, Cedrick. Don't go back.
So I gave some wild card questions that I like to throw in every now and then. So you have a set of triplets, and a set of twins.
That's correct.
How do you have time to do anything else?
It's time, man. We do what we want to do as humans, and so you make time for what you want to make time for. And so a lot of people ask me that question, but it truly is. It's about managing myself well first. I'm fortunate. My wife is incredible. I have her support, and she's just great. We stick to a schedule. We function as a team, and we understand, the calling and the goal. And so it's really about being efficient in your day and choosing what you want to do. We all make excuses for why we either not doing something or doing something, but we get to choose.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we actually didn't mention your wife in there. So how long have you been married?
Going on 17 years next month.
17 years.
In 2 weeks, 17 years.
Okay, awesome. Well, it will be next month too, right? So you didn't. No, make sure that if she sees this, you go, wait, do you know?
Right. That's right.
That is awesome. 17 years is just awesome. So I asked you that already. Mentors.
Yeah.
Do you have a mentor?
Yeah.
And how has that mentor impacted your journey?
Yeah, well, I would love. Here's I think the misconception that a lot of people have that there's one mentor for everything. That there's one mentor for everything, and I can say that I've had and have several mentors or people who I consider mentors in my life, and they've helped me through different phases. They helped me for different reasons. They've helped me for different seasons, and so I've been fortunate to just have some incredible people to help me go further faster. I wouldn't be here where I am today without a lady by the name of Lethea Owens, incredible lady that was one of the first people who let me come volunteer, for her, as she was already a professional speaker. And I reached out and said, hey, how can I come and volunteer? 2 ways to get a mentor in your life. I'm going to go side note here. 2 ways to get a mentor in your life: seek to serve or pay to play. Seek to serve or pay to play. Figure out a way that you can add value to that mentor's life, not looking to just take from them or pick their brain, but how can you add value to them? How can you serve them? Or number 2, pay to play. Pay to play. It's okay to invest to get around people that you want to be around that are doing things that you want to do. And so I think about Lethea Owens. I think about my previous pastor, Pastor David Blunt. I think about John Maxwell. I think about Paul Martinelli. I think about Christian Simpson. I think about Mark Cole. I think about, so many different people, that Delatoro McNeil. I think about all these people that have impacted me along the way. I can't say it's just been one, it's been many. I think about Walter Bond. I think about James Malinchek. I think about all these different people, Brian Binkle, all these different people that have mentored and poured into my life. I mean, I can go on and on and on with the list of people that I've considered mentors along the way. And so there's one, I believe in the philosophy. I know that it's got me to where I am today.
Awesome. And so, the mentor-mentee relationship is one of those that it's a great relationship and it can work great, but it's really designed for the mentee to really dive in. You can't go to the beach and just sit on the sideline. If you're going to get into that relationship, you got to dive in, right? So you're an executive level. So, but if you had someone come to you and say, hey, Chris, could you be my mentor?
Yeah.
What things do you kind of look for? And you don't have to be, generalize what type of things you kind of look for to decide to say whether you're going to say, yes, I'll be your mentor.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I get that question quite often, and I always reply back with one single question. The first thing I'll say is, send me a list of questions that you would like for me to answer, and I will get you on the schedule. Okay. Now, 9 times out of 10, Cedrick, 9 times out of 10, I won't get a list of questions. Okay. And so what that does is that tells me that and what mentors are looking for is for you to, really value the time, but be intentional with the time. I'm a coach and a consultant. There's plenty of people that want to pick my brain, want to ask me questions. I get asked questions for a living. Okay. And so it's what, I answer questions for a living. And so, I do that all day long, every day. And so when someone said, hey, I want you to mentor me, great. Okay. Let's start off with a list of questions. And so I'm looking for the intentionality of that. And then the greatest reward that you can give to a mentor is, are you doing what we asked you to do? Or are you applying what it is that we talked about? Did you make movement? Did you make forward progress from the last time that we spoke? That's the greatest reward you can give back to a mentor is progress. Nothing greater than, oh yeah, that makes mentors want to jump in and feed you more. When they see that you're getting results, they want to go on your behalf. They want to go from mentorship to sponsorship. What's that difference there? Hey, I want you to meet somebody. You need to meet somebody. I want to introduce you to this person. I want to open this door for you because you're making results. You're getting results. Yeah.
Awesome. And so there's 2 parts to that. So it's coming back with those questions, those list of questions. But when you're looking at the questions, and I'm just generally just asking because it's important for people to understand the process. One part of the process is that you come back with questions, but the other part of the process is not even just the question itself, but it's well, it's the questions, but what type of questions are you asking?
Yeah, because the quality of the questions do qualify you or disqualify you from certain relationships. So, yeah, when your mom told you no such thing as stupid questions, well, there is.
Mom was wrong again. All right. So, you've had a lot of success in your career.
Yeah.
And you briefly touched on, hey, you've had some failures, but talk to us about a time where you had a failure, and what did you learn from it, and how did you bounce back from it?
Yeah. I think about the biggest, I want to say, I don't think it was necessarily a failure, but it was a moment when I had the opportunity to give up during the struggle. And I've talked about it recently on a couple podcasts because it was, just for whatever reason, that storyline had opened up for me in my memory. But it was sitting back. I was probably about 2.5 years, almost 3 years into the John Maxwell team. I was off to a great start. I had secured a good, solid deal with a company that was providing good income for me. But turns out it was about 80% of my business at that time. And I had just came out of debt from those failed businesses. I was $180,000 in debt.
Ooh.
And I was paying off that debt. I was just adamant on paying off that debt, Cedrick, and I wasn't saving at the rate that I was paying off debt. And, that company had separated. I had found myself without that deal. 85% of my income was gone. And on that day, Cedrick, on that day, on this planet, I had $12 on this planet.
Wow.
On this planet. Now, at that moment, Cedrick, again, friends and family, they love to give you good advice. And, I've got kids and, I need to go do what I need to go do is the phrase that we're told over and over. You have responsibility. You need to go do what you need to go do. So I know you're a coach and speaker, and that's cute, but you need to go move some boxes overnight. You need to go do something. Now, I'm looking at the time, Cedrick, and I'm going, now, if I go get some basic box job, and again, I'm not demeaning any jobs out there by any means, but please, nobody get offended here, because none of those jobs lined up with my calling. None of those jobs lined up with my future. So if your calling, if your future is lined up with you moving boxes, and that's perfect for you. Okay. That's perfect. As long as it lines up with where you're going. That wasn't lined up with where I was going. So I didn't feel in character or integrity if I was going to go do this irrelevant job to my future at night, and then by day be a coach, speaker, and trainer. Now, again, I'm not knocking anybody that does that, but I said, hey, I can go spend 40 hours of my life this week to make $400, $500 this week, or I can sit here and I could get the information and I can spend the next 40 hours trying to figure out how to make 400 in an hour versus 440. Okay. And so I sat there with $12 in my pocket for an entire day. All I did was read, and there was a perfect piece. And, I was determined that I was going to stay in alignment with everything I was going to do. Every single experience that I have had to line up with where I wanted to go. Not just doing what I had to do to get by. If I'm going to do what I have to do to get by, it's got to be in alignment with where I want to go. So it had to follow those filters of, does this allow for me to coach? Does this allow for me to speak? Does this allow for me to train? Does it allow for me to read more? If it does those 4 things, that's an opportunity that I can take at a subpar rate to go do. I can go do something inside that space at a subpar rate because that's going to move me in the direction of my goals and dreams. If it does not, then it's only taken away from my dream and taking you off track. And so when I think about a time where I've struggled, or I think about a time where I had an opportunity to give up during a struggle, that would be one of them, Cedrick.
Wow. Well, and that right there, I mean, that's an awesome story. And you're right. I don't know that I would call it failure either. I would, it's definitely a setback, right? Because you look at it, 180,000. Whoo, I got to pay this back now. And that contract, I thought that was going to help me. Right. What am I going to do, right? I definitely get that. But the good thing is, folks, and this is what you need to take from these lessons that Chris are sharing with you is, no matter how hard or how difficult the struggle gets, if you stay focused on what your goal is,
Right.
and you don't fall in love with the plan,
That's correct.
you just change the plan. Plan A didn't work.
Right.
So he said, well, I'm going to plan B. If plan B didn't work, you know what he's going to do? He's going to go to plan C.
Yeah.
And you got to understand that process. There are people that are out here right now that are in the John Maxwell team, or they're in the leadership development space, right? And plan A is not working for them right now. So you need to stop, think, evaluate, and then change the plan a little bit, right? Still can get to the same end goal.
Yep.
Don't just throw it all in and say, well, that didn't work. That's a waste of my time and effort and energy. The only time you will do that if that's truly not your passion.
Right. Yep.
If you're doing it for, in fact, we're going to talk about this tomorrow night with the Black Entrepreneurs Institute, talking about that wind beneath your wings. You got to understand your why.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that's what you said. You clearly understood what it is you want to do and why you want to do it. So it kept you focused on going and make that happen. That's awesome, folks. Make sure that's what you take from what he said tonight.
Right.
What tidbits of wisdom can you leave our audience with that they can use either in their personal or professional lives?
Yeah, tidbit of information I would give you is that, that hope, that goal, that dream that you have, or whether that's owning a business, whether that's, leading the organization that you're in, getting promoted on the job, that is absolutely a real thing and can be a reality for you. But you have to be intent on pursuing it and not letting go of your pursuit of that dream, that hope, or that vision. Oftentimes we set, unrealistic timelines, not unrealistic goals. And so it's a matter of going back and sticking with it until it happens. Not setting a quit date, not setting hey, I'm going to try this out, Cedrick, until, January. And if it doesn't work by January, I'm out. It's doing it until it works. Don't give up on your dream. Don't give up on your passion. You can do it.
Yes, absolutely. And, one of the things when I talk to new John Maxwell team members, I tell them, look, here's the beautiful thing about being a part of John Maxwell team. You have access to so much content. Here's the bad thing about being a part of John Maxwell team. You have access to so much content, right?
Yeah.
So it's trying to understand what's going to be your niche in this area, right? And then be very laser focused on it and highly intentional with it, and follow your dreams. And one day when Chris retires, then you may be able in that position to replace him.
I'm looking for you to replace me sooner. Because here's the thing. I'll show you this. John gave me this this past weekend. It's a baton. And, the thing about a baton is that you don't get to keep the baton. I have to pass it on. And so I'm not looking to retire with this baton in hand and hold on to it. It's my job to create space for others, just like you, just like me, so that I can pass this baton on. This is my starting point. This isn't my stopping point with this new role.
That's awesome. That's a nice baton, by the way. That is awesome. So, I know you have a lot of plans and a lot of things that you want to do in life and even more in your career with R3 and with John Maxwell team. So tell us what's next up for you.
Yeah. So for me right now, it's fully embracing where I'm at right now. I have an incredible opportunity with the John Maxwell team to really do things in a different way, to elevate things, to bring a different spin on things, to open up new doors that haven't been opened before. And so right now, my what's next is what's now. And that's taking full advantage of this opportunity with the John Maxwell team to help elevate it to the next level. And, we'll see where it goes from there. But for now, my focus is head on right here in this role.
Well, that's awesome. So, Chris, what I want you to do now, and I have a couple of more questions I'm going to ask you, but what I want you to do right now, Chris, there are people that are out there that are listening, that are looking today, and they're thinking, Should I join the John Maxwell team, or why should I join the Maxwell team? I've heard about it, but I'm not really sure. What would you tell them about the John Maxwell team to help not motivate them to join?
Yeah.
Them some inspiration about joining the John Maxwell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many different reasons to join the John Maxwell team. One, if you're looking for a place for your own personal growth and development, we provide, number one, for you, a community of like-minded people like no other. I mean, people from all around the planet, of all races, of all genders, of all everything, coming together, wanting to make a difference with people. So it's there for your personal growth and the relationship that you'll gain. If you're looking to enhance or get promoted on your job and enhance your skills as a communicator or as a coach, and you really want to develop yourself and hone those skills, we help equip you with that. Or if you're looking to become a coach, speaker, and trainer, we provide you tools, resources, everything you need in order to be successful as a coach, speaker, and trainer. And so there's many different reasons, but I'm biased. I'm biased at this point. But I can truly say with every fiber in my body, I wouldn't be here today without this team.
Awesome. So if people want to get connected with you, the John Maxwell team, how do they do that?
Yeah, well, you go to johnmaxwellteam.com, but as I'm looking down the feed here, we've got one of our top program advisors on here, Damian Johnson. I'd say reach out to Damian. So Damian, if you could share your John Maxwell team program advisor page for people to find out more information on that, that's where I would send them. And Damian is fully equipped. He's a resource, one of our, not only our top peer teaching partners, but top program advisors. And, one of your faculty member with the Black Entrepreneurs Institute, just a phenomenal, incredible team member that I'm just grateful to have a part of our team as well, too.
Yeah, and you see, Dane didn't take Damon no time to put his information.
That's right. Stay ready. With the baton. I'm trying to give the baton. He's ready.
Absolutely. I think he must have had that on like fast key or something.
Right. Something. That's great.
That is awesome. And I don't know if I said this at the very beginning, but so you joined the John Maxwell team when?
March of 2011. So I was a part of the very first group that ever got certified.
Awesome. So March of 2011, folks, and now we're in June of 2020.
Yeah.
And Chris is now the executive vice president of the Maxwell Entrepreneur Solutions.
Wow.
You don't understand. You see, right. You don't just walk into an organization and just fast track up the career ladder unless you're bringing some things with you, right? It's not just about what you're going to extract from the organization, but it's what you're going to bring and what you're going to give to an organization while you're there, right? And so, Chris, I think you were raised up in St. Louis?
I was born in St. Louis, raised in Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah. Born in St. Louis, raised in Oklahoma, and now is the executive vice president of the Maxwell Entrepreneur Solution, folks. That's phenomenal. It's always great to see anyone progress up the ladder, but I'm biased as well. It's great to see a young brother doing some wonderful things out in the world within mankind. And so I'm excited for you, brother. And I want you to do this, Chris. Give our audience 2 or 3 things.
Yep.
That 2 or 3 things that they can do to help their team grow and develop.
Yeah. So, one of the first things, if I'm looking to grow my team, one of the first things I'm doing is I'm trying to create a space for personal growth and development, because it's one thing for us to say that, hey, we believe in personal growth and development, but we've got to model that. And personal development, I think, is oftentimes caught, not necessarily taught, meaning that people do what people see. So if you expose them to different opportunities, number one is you got to resource them. So it's, if you're reading a book, buy another book. hand it to your team as well too. So they understand your thinking. One of the things that I always do, and again, this is me, how I've progressed, is I'm always watching what my leaders are reading. Why am I watching what my leaders are reading, and why am I, without any question, purchasing what they're reading? Because I want to understand their thinking and what's driving their thoughts. What we are reading is driving our thoughts. And so I always want to pay attention to that. So if you want to help drive your team's thoughts, influence what they're reading. So I would do that. So create that space for personal growth. Number 2 is model the personal growth. Are you going to conferences? Are you going to events? Are you investing in yourself outside of what the company is providing for you? And then the third thing that I would say, if you want to grow your team, is get to know your team. Get to know your team. And I think that is something that a lot of people miss, especially as we have gone out to the virtual world, as we have done things. We're just looking at the screens. We're looking at, the numbers, and we're losing that personal connection. And so it's find out why this person is trading their life for this job. Why are they trading their life? They're not coming to the job because they really love working for the company. Yeah, they may love their job, but all things being equal, if they didn't have to come, they can get the exact same pay. Well, they would do that. They're trading their life because they're trying to achieve something with it. Number 1, they're trying to either progress and see growth on the job because they want to advance inside the organization. Or number 2, the job is helping them out personally. It's helping them pay for kids' school. It's helping them get the house that they want, the car that they want. And so if either one of those 2 get dark, they quit. They go look for another organization. And so get to know your people. Why are they trading? What are they trading their life for? And if you can figure out that and begin to now do everything based off of where they want to go versus just based off the numbers that you need, you begin to change the dynamic of your team.
Wow. That is awesome. I do have one last question for you. I like this question just because it's a mindset thing, right? And some in the times that we are right now, some people are not as encouraged as others. So why should employees be encouraged?
Why should employees be encouraged? Well, if they're still employed, they should be encouraged.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the assumption we have to make, that it's still.
But as an employee, what I always looked at, and what I look at as an employee now, is like looking at, what can I do in this job that's preparing me for my future? And so not looking at just, the mundaneness of the job, but what's the 10% of the job that you love? How can you enhance and innovate or do it better than anybody else is doing it? You have to make fun out of it, even if it's a job that you don't want. And if you don't want the job, you got to ask yourself, why are you doing it anyway? If it's not in alignment with where you want to go. So for employees out there that may be feeling discouraged right now, be of good cheer. Find the good in what it is that you do get to do. And then if it doesn't line up, find the good that's going to lead you to the good that you do actually want.
Wow. Man, this hour went by. Man, I burned calories doing this hour. So I want to personally thank you again. You had an option to come on here or not come on here. I totally appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come on here and help our audience grow, talk leadership, and have a really good time. So hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to our conversation on Friday as well.
Awesome. I'm turning my phone off because people will be calling me. Hey, folks, let me give you a few announcements here. We launched a program called Real Life Change 101. Whether you are in need of a refresher course on the basics or the essential principles, or even mentoring a young person to begin developing these meat and potato aspects of business and leadership in their own lives, this concentrated collection of leadership training is going to be the starting point to help you sharpen the critical skills that you need in your life. The Real Life Change 101 program includes material that each person is going to get to go to a high level, either in their personal life or in their career. I want to tell you this. When you think about a crash course in leadership, a practical tool to sharpen the core fundamentals of that every professional needs, that's what this course is about. I like to call it leadership intensive course for your life. So you need to go ahead and register for that. We're going to have that in the in the chat for you here next. But we already have a lot of people that signed up. Remember, we start July 15th. Remember, this course, you're going to get an ebook. Remember, you're going to be in a private Facebook group. Remember, the first 50 people will get a communication impact assessment. And remember, finally, this is all no charge to you. So all you have to do is choose to commit. When you choose to commit, your life will go to a whole nother level, because I'm going to be bringing everything that I have for you in this course. So we start July 15th. A couple more announcements. Tomorrow night, 5:30 Central Time, we will have Dr. Nicole Ranking in the house. She's from the Cole Academy of Personal Growth. She's going to be on Tuesday night, Talk Leadership with Cedrick. And then at 6:30 Central Time, folks, you need to turn your dial to the Black Entrepreneurs Institute live show on the Empowered Living Network. I need you to join the other 1.8 million viewers that are there, because tomorrow night, trust me, the show tomorrow night, you don't want to miss. We're going to bring some good stuff there to you. All right. So we like you to join us. We know that you're going to love it. We want to help you elevate your mind and elevate your money. So tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And when you finish there, 7:30 Central Time, tune on over back here to Facebook, Talk with TK. That's my daughter. She's going to be talking about mindset.
Ooh, awesome.
So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. Always remember, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Ooh, come on.
Don't be on the menu. So we will, again, thank you for joining us tonight. Bye-bye, folks.
Thanks a lot.